Hi, I'm Patrick Wall from here at the University City Public Library. Thank you for coming today. In our part, I just wanted to talk a little bit more about the building, Proposition L, and what we hope to do with the funds if they become available, and what we'll have to do if the funds don't become available. This is the library over on Trinity. Many of you remember that library. It was built in 1939. $70,000 for construction at that time. WPA funds were used for construction of this building. I know a lot of people have told me over the years about being here when the library switched from that location to this location, and the Delmore Harvard kids all moved the books over to the library, or helped move the books over, so there's a lot of history there. In 1966, the collection had grown from 8,000 items to 80,000. The citizens of University City decided to build this building with a bond issue of $950,000 and $500,000 in federal funds. They were able to build this location at 6701 Delmar. We opened in December of 1969, so the building will be 50 years old this year. They opened with the 80,000 items. We currently have over 220,000 items in the building. In 1990, that was the last time that the library had gone to the citizens of University City asking for an increase. So now in 2019, we're asking to go from the 28 cents that were set back then to 40 cents. And we'll talk a little bit more about what that means in just a few minutes. 5 years later, the University City Public Library joined together with the Maplewood Library, the Brentwood Library, Kirkwood, and several other libraries, and we formed the Municipal Library Consortium. That's now grown to 9 municipal libraries, and together we have probably about the 6th largest collection in the state for public libraries. This is us today. This is our gallery outside with one of the shows from the schools here in University City. We've got, like I said, 220,000 items. It's not just books and magazines, but it's audio books, DVDs. We have 3 telescopes that we lend out. We have video cameras. We have other video equipment. We have ebooks and many other items you can borrow from us. Our auditorium and meeting rooms were used over 2,400 times last year. Evenings and weekends are incredibly popular. We often have to turn groups away because of the limitations on the space. Our public computers were used about 39,000 times last year. In addition to that, we had about 33,000 Wi-Fi sessions where people brought their own devices in and used our rather robust Wi-Fi network. We have programs for people of all ages here. From the youngest, we have laugh-sit story times, to the oldest. We now do outreach to some of the residential centers in University City, where we go out and do story readings, jazz programs, things like that. We have monthly gallery shows. We have our large summer reading program, a variety of book clubs for adults and for children, and then lectures and author visits as well. What we've added this year, and the last couple of years, are a lot more tech programs. Altogether, more than 10,000 kids and teens participated in the 300 programs Youth Services had last year. And in addition to story time and our reading to dog, a very popular reading to the dog Rosie, a therapy dog. We also added robotics events, team gaming nights, youth leadership programs through Toastmasters, author visits, and the monthly book clubs for kids. And we have a wonderful summer reading program for young people, where the younger readers come in and talk about what they've been reading or what's been read to them. And they talk about that to our teen volunteers, and we're very grateful for all the teen volunteers that we have here. So last year, we were open 3,744 hours. That's about the most of any single building library in the state of Missouri. We had 192,000 visits, 427,000 visits to our website. We have slightly more registered patrons than there are citizens in University City because of our reciprocal agreements with St. Louis City and St. Louis County. We issued 2,969 new library cards last year, including several hundred of our My First Library cards to our youngest patrons. They're fine-free for all children's materials that are checked out on those cards. We had 881 total programs and about 25,000 people in attendance. We had over 400,000 items checked out last year. That's both physical books and magazines and ebooks and downloadable audiobooks, streaming music, streaming movies. We added 13,256 items to the collection, and we had 31,000 digital items checked out. Those are our books through Hoopla, Overdrive, and our newest service, Canopy. So we've got, as I said, ebooks and downloadable audiobooks from a couple of platforms. We've got the Libby platform for Overdrive, and we've got Hoopla. We have RB Digital for digital magazines, Tumble Books for the youngest read-along books for toddlers and kids. Hoopla also has comic books, music, TV shows, and movies. And we just added a really wonderful collection of digital movies through Canopy. And every University City resident cardholder can check out up to five streaming movies per month on that service. And we hope you check it out. They've got a lot of really interesting titles. Some of what's been driving Proposition L is increasing costs to the library since 1990, our last tax increase. In 1990, we purchased a book. A copy of the book, it cost us about, it would retail for about $19.95. We get a discount then, we get a discount now. The book is more expensive now, of course. It's closer to $30. We still get a discount. But in addition to that one book, we buy copies of the ebook and copies of the downloadable audiobook. For instance, one of the more popular titles right now, Michelle Obama's Becoming, retails for around, I can't remember exactly what, but about $30. We get a discount on that for the hardbound book. For the ebook, we pay $55 for a single copy, and we can only keep that for 2 years before it just disappears and we have to buy it again. The downloadable audiobook on that is about the same price as the book on CD would have been. Those prices have held steady, and we're grateful for that, but it's still very expensive, in the $100 range for an audiobook. Another place we've seen incredibly increasing costs is with technology. Back when I started in 1999, I think we had 5 public computers. We now have 19 downstairs. We've got 10 Chromebooks that people can check out. We've got 9 computers up at U Services that our patrons can use. We also have to have tech-savvy staff. A lot of our tech, the computers that we have, the video cameras, our 3D printer, they're all grant funded, but there's still a cost to the library, and there's certainly going to be a cost when those grants disappear, and we have to keep up with the technology. So for meeting the needs of the library and meeting the needs of UCity, we'd like to maintain and expand the services we currently have. We began outreach to early literacy centers several years ago with some grant funding. And this last year, as I mentioned, we began outreach to senior centers throughout University City. We're trying to offer as many accessible options to patrons with disabilities here in the library as we possibly can. Some of the stuff that Bond Architects has talked to us about is making the building more accessible. With our latest tech grant, we got JAWS software so that patrons with visual disabilities can continue to use our computers here in the library. And we'd like to continue offering more and more accessible options for patrons. We're sort of relentless grant writers here at the library. We've got a great team of people who write grants and execute them, administer them. Grants supplement almost all of our technology purchases. It's crucial for our summer reading program, not so much for collection development. They're few and far between. And grants for building maintenance and construction have disappeared over the last, probably about 20 years ago. I think we got about the last Library Services and Construction Act grant for building here in this library back in 2002 when our elevator was renovated. This is how the University City Public Library receives our funding. 85% is from property taxes. State aid, which varies from year to year, it's something that the legislature has to decide upon and then the governor has to release. And some years it's been quite low and some years it's been held back. This year I believe it's going to be about 39 cents per capita for the state aid to public libraries. So that works out to somewhere around $12,000, $13,000 in total. We also get a small amount for the athletes and entertainers tax here in Missouri, but that's it. That's pretty much all our tax income, property taxes and a little bit of state aid. Grants, a lot of which are federally funded. Like I said, we're relentless on that. We try to get every grant that is appropriate for what we're doing that we can. But it takes a lot of staff time. It often sort of changes the direction a little bit of the service that we'd like to offer. But when the grants are available, we're certainly going to pursue them, and we're going to continue to do that. We've got a great community as far as donations. Our friends in the library are just wonderful, and they help us tremendously. But along with about the $10,000, $12,000 we get each year from our Memorial Day run and our participation in that, we still, about $51,000 in grant last year. That was about 3% of our total income. The other is just sort of pass through. That's what we charge so that we can provide copying service, so that we can provide faxing service, a small fee to use the auditorium, things like that. It also includes fines and fees, for lost items, damaged items to the library. That's our current funding. What we're asking for now is a tax increase of 12 cents per $100 of assessed valuation over the present 28 cents per $100. And this is the actual text that's going to be on the ballot on April 2nd. Of that 12 cents, about half of it, about 6 cents, would be used to finance some of the things that Lori from Bond Architects talked about. The HVAC and mechanical, the electrical and lighting, plumbing and bathrooms, and other renovations, sorely needed renovations to this 50-year-old building. The other half, the other 6 cents, we would use to increase our annual operating revenue, and that would allow us to continue to offer the services we have now, to expand on those services, to increase our collection of books and DVDs, ebooks, downloadable audiobooks, everything we have now, all the great things that are coming, and to meet the needs of our readers and the people who use the library. And we'd also like to have salary equity with other area libraries. We frequently lose talented staff to other libraries who can afford to pay more. We're not asking no one's going to be rich, get rich working for the library, but we would like to, to make sure our staff can have a living wage. As it says here, that proposition will be on the April 2nd ballot for University City voters. And this is only the city of University City. We're a separate entity from the city itself. We're a separate taxing district. We're also separate from the county library or the city library. These are all separate systems. The 12 cents increase, what does that actually mean? Well, for a house that's appraised at $100,000, expected to sell for $100,000, the assessed value of that house is 19%, or $19,000. The tax would be applied to every $100 of the assessed valuation, so that tax would only be applied to $190. The current rate, the current voted ceiling of 28 cents would result in that $100,000 house being billed $53.20. At the new 40-cent rate, it would go up to $76. And that's a difference of just $22.80, or less than the cost of one hardcover book. So if you're just able to come to the library, check out one item. If you're not able to come to the library but get a card, just a couple of digital checkouts, and you've made back the money that we're asking for. So just a little bit more of the math. For a $100,000 house, we collected in 2017 25 cents. Because of the Hancock Amendment, we're seldom allowed to get to the voted ceiling. The max voted rate of 28 cents would be, like I said, $53.20. The difference between that and the 40 cents is that $22.80 again. And that's $45.60 for a $200,000 house. For the average UCity house of $240,900, it comes out to $54.93, or just a little over, roughly 2 hardcover books. If you're getting the really big $35 books, it's less than 2. And as Lori pointed out, these are some of the issues the building's facing. Besides the electrical panel, we've got a lot of problems with the cabling. The phone system is long past its end of life. Basically our computer network was put together by librarians who knew what they were doing with computers at the time, but it was never sort of planned for as complicated as it's gotten. These are just more pictures of what we're facing with the HVAC. The engineering firm retained by Bond Architects estimate is at about a little over $1 million for the HVAC and mechanical. Plumbing, same bathrooms. This is the sort of inaccessible entrance. $161,000, and I believe that's just for the plumbing part of it, not for constructing the bathrooms. And then there's an additional $85,000 to fix the storage in the basement for all the items that we have that people are still using that we can't fit on the shelves here in the library. And as always, we'd like to know what you think. What library services do you feel are the most important for the community? What concerns do you have about the building? What would you like us to change? What would you like us not to change? We've heard a lot from people about the look of the building. They want to maintain that familiar look, the central staircase, a lot of the elements of the building have. We certainly would like to retain all of that, but just provide a better experience for the user here in the library, and hopefully provide a library that will last for the next 50 years. And what can we do to improve safety and security? That's always a concern for libraries everywhere. We want everyone to feel safe and welcome here at the library. And any other suggestions you have regarding the future of the library. If you don't have time to fill out a form today, you can do that online, www.ucitylibrary.org. Thank you so much for your input. We appreciate you coming out for this, and we're always here to answer any questions you have about